Just.
I heard they did it one time with Vivekananda.
Really? It was taking too long, huh?
Early days.
I didn't know that.
We didn't have wheels and carried it.
Really? What would devotees do, eh?
Huh?
What would devotees do, eh?
Not really.
Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Gopijana Vallabha Girivardhari Jaya Gopijana Vallabha Girivardhari Yashoda Nandana Braja Jana Ranjana Yashoda Nandana Braja Jana Ranjana Yamuna Tira Vanachari Yamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Gopijana Vallabha Girivardhari Jaya Gopijana Vallabha Girivardhari Yashoda Nandana Bhajana Ranjana Yashoda Nandana Bhajana Ranjana Yamuna Tira Yamuna Tira Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare Hare Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Jaya Radha Govinda Madhav Radha Govinda Madhav Shri Radhe Radha Govinda Madhav Jaya Krishna Balaram Jaya Krishna Balaram Krishna Balaram Jaya Giri Govinda Jaya Gauranika Jaya Gauranika Jaya Gauranika Prabhupada Jaya Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Jaya Gurudev Gurudev Jaya Jaya Gurudev Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Gaur Bhaktavind ki jai, Matai Gaur Premanande. Jai Jai Shri Chaitanya Jai Nityananda Jai Dvaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Jaya Jaya Shri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda Jai Dvaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Jaya Jaya Shri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda Jai Dvaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna, dear devotees. Welcome to this Chaitanya Charitamrita class. Thank you for joining. Oh, laptop has just gone off. Okay. So I'm sure some of you have traveled all the way to New Mayapur, to Temple Room, to come and attend the class by His Holiness Jalananda Maharaj. And unfortunately, you are very much disappointed because you are seeing me on this asana. So he needs to rest. Actually, he's not well, so we pray to their lordships so that he can get well and give us his association like that. So yeah, you have to put up with me. It's a little bit of an impromptu class. So here we go. So we are continuing our reading from Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita, Adi Leela, chapter 2. And we're continuing verses, chapter 2 is entitled Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And today's verses are 75 to 86. Now, do we require translation? Transduction? Monsieur, maybe? It's okay? Mahesh Prabhu is now, so he's attending the Gita course, and then last year he was attending the Veda course, so he's, I think, used to my English. Or my French English, yeah, I'll try a little bit. So like that. So yeah, Chaitanya Charitamrita, Adilila chapter 2, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and today's verses are 75 to 86. And 86 has an elaborate purport, and so it's on the board, and we'll recite that together, but I'll recite up to verse 85 and 86 we'll do together. Okay? So we remember this is a conversation between Lord Brahma and Shri Krishna, where Lord Brahma is speaking to Krishna, glorifying the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Of course, we heard in the previous classes that some scholars challenge whether Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead and it is not Narayan, like that. Then they say, Lord Brahma therefore starts reciting the verses, these set of verses, to re-establish the description of the supremacy of Krishna above the Purusha avatars. Now remember last Saturday's class, we talked about the key 3 Purusha avatars. Does anyone remember who the key 3 Purusha avatars are that we talked about last Saturday? Yes, Prabhu.
Pranadakshay Vishnu, Gaudakshay Vishnu, Shivodakshay.
Very good, very good. Yes, these are the 3 key Purusha avatars that are emanating from the source of all sources, who is Krishna, Supreme Personality of Godhead, the source of all sources. And so today's verses 75 to 86, we continue in that discussion. Yeah? So I'll recite the Bengali and then the translation as much as possible if I can. 75. Anuvada na kahiya na kahi vidaya age kanuvada kahi paschat vidaya. Translation. If I do not state a subject, I do not state a predicate. First I speak the former, then I speak the latter. So just to give you context, last week in the translation we said, to such a misguided interpreter, one should not state a predicate before the subject, for it cannot thus stand without proper support. Next verse, Vidayaha kahiyatare ye vastu agnata anuvada kahitare ye haya gnata. The predicate of a sentence is what is unknown to the reader, whereas the subject is what is known to him. Right? 77. Yahiyache kahi e vipra parama pandita vipra anuvada ihare vidya panditya. Translation. For example, we may say, this Vipra is a greatly learned man. In this sentence, the Vipra is the subject, and the predicate is his erudition. 78. Vipratva vikyata tare panditya agnata athaiva vipra age panditya pashata. The man's being a Vipra is known, but his erudition is unknown. Therefore, the person is identified first and his erudition later. Verse 79. Tahiche inya avatara sabe haila nyata kara avatara e vastu avijnata. In the same way, all these incarnations were known, but whose incarnations they are was unknown. Ete shabda avatarera age anuvada purushera amsha pache vidya samvada. First, the word ete, these, establishes the subject, the incarnations. Then plenary portions of the Purusha avatars follows as the predicate. This is verse 80. Now you may have come across this ete. In which Srimad Bhagavatam was, we've come across ete. Yes, we actually, a couple of Saturdays ago, we recited this verse because it is also referenced in earlier verses of this chapter itself. Ete chamsa kalapumsa krishnastu bhagwan swayam. So this word ete means these, and amsha means the plenary portions. So these plenary portions, and kala is parts of the plenary portions, basically describing the Purushavatars, Pumsha, the Purushavatars, right? So ete is actually of these, right? The personality of Goddess, His. Yeah? So you can see the subject is before the description, right? Okay, 81. Taicha Krishna avatara bitera haila jnata tanhare vishesha jnana e avijnata. In the same way, when Krishna was first counted amongst the incarnations, specific knowledge about him was still unknown. But Krishna came first, before his description. 82. Atayeva Krishna Shabda Age Anuvada Swayam Bhagavata Piche Vedaya Samvada. Therefore, first the word Krishna appears as the subject, followed by the predicate describing him as the original personality of Godhead. Like that. 83. Krishnera Swayam Bhagavata Iha Haila Shadea Swayam Bhagavanera Krishnatva Haila Bhadya. This establishes that Sri Krishna is the original personality of Godhead. The original personality of Godhead is therefore necessarily Krishna. It's quite elaborate the way Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami time and time again uses different angular vision of description of how Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Verse 84. Krishna yadi amsha haita amsi narayana tabe viparita haita shutera vachana. Had Krishna been the plenary portion and Narayan the primeval Lord, the statement of Suta Goswami would have been reversed. Shri Shri Radha Govinda Madhav Ji ki, Krishna Balaram ki, Gauritai ki. Verse 85. So yeah, this was important aspect. Had Krishna been the plenary portion of Narayan, the primeval Lord, the statement of Suta Goswami would have been reversed. It would have said Krishna and then Narayan. It would have said Narayan and then these plenary portions including Krishna, etc. But he didn't do that. He said Krishna first. Subject was first. 85. Narayanam siye swayan bhagavana tenhi Sri Krishna aiche karita vakhyana. Thus, he would have said, Narayan, the source of all incarnation, is the original personality of Godhead. He has appeared as Sri Krishna. It would have been that clear. But it wasn't that clear. It was Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and Narayan other Purusha avatars are his incarnations. So this is why there is still a confusion, at least amongst the Eastern diaspora and as we said before, amongst the Indians, that, oh yeah, through Vishnu, Krishna comes, Ram comes, and all the other personality, main avatars come. But that is not the case. Okay? And so we go into today's verse. We can recite this together. Brahma pramada vipralipsa karanapatava arsa vigna vakya nahi dosha eshava. Brahma pramada vipralipsa karanapatava Arsa vigna vakya nahi dosha esaba. Brahma pramada vipralipsa karanapatava Arsa vigna vakya nahi dosha esaba. Prabhu's Brahma pramada vipralipsa karanapatava Arsa Vigna Vakya Nahi Doshaye Saba. Brahma Pramada Vipralipsa Karanapatava. Harsha Vigna Vakya Nahi Doshaye Saba. Go on, Asha.
Brahma Pramada Vipralipsa Karanapatava.
Brahma Pramada Vipralipsa Karanapatava.
Harsha Vidya Vakya Nahi Doshaye Saba.
Harsha Vigna Vakya Nahi Doshaye Saba. Swami Prabhu, you want to say? Brahma Pramada Vipralipsa Karanapatava. Harsha Vigna Vakya Nahi Doshaye Saba. Vaishnavis? Brahma Pramada Vipralipsa Karanapatava. Harsha Vigna Vakya Nahi Doshaye Saba. Brahma Pramada Vipralipsa Karanapatava. Harsha Vigna Vakya Nahi Doshaye Saba. Anyone else?
Let's get it in
Brahma Karnada Vitsanisya Karunapatava. Harsha Vigna Vakya Nahi Doshaye Saba. Nice, thank you. Authentic Bengali, it's nice to hear. Word for word, Brahma, mistakes, Pramada, illusion, Vipralipsa, cheating, Karanapatava, imperfectness of the senses, Arsha, of the authoritative sages, Vignavakya, in the wise speech, Nahi, not, Dosha, faults, these, Saba, all. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace, Abhay Charanvinda Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Translation. Mistakes, illusions, cheating, and defective perception do not occur in the sayings of the authoritative sages. Please repeat. Mistakes, illusions, cheating, and defective perception do not occur in the sayings of the authoritative sages. So there's a little bit of an elaborate purport here by Srila Prabhupada. Srimad Bhagavatam has listed the avatars, the plenary expansions of the Purusha, and Lord Krishna appears among them. But the Bhagavatam further explains Lord Krishna's specific position as the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Since Lord Krishna is the original personality of Godhead, reason and argument establish that his position is always supreme. Had Krishna been a plenary expansion of Narayan, the original verse would have been differently composed. Indeed, its order would have been reversed, but there cannot be mistakes, illusions, cheating, or imperfect perception in the words of the liberated sages. Therefore, there is no mistake in this statement that Lord Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. The Sanskrit statements of Srimad Bhagavatam are all transcendental sounds. Srila Vyasadeva revealed these statements after perfect realization and therefore they are perfect for liberated sages like Vyasadeva, and never commit errors in their rhetorical arrangements. Unless one accepts this fact, there is no use in trying to obtain help from the revealed scriptures. Brahm refers to false knowledge or mistakes, such as accepting a rope as a snake or an oyster shell as gold. Pramada refers to intention or mistake or misunderstanding of reality, and vipralipsa is the cheating propensity. Karana Patava refers to imperfectness of the material senses. There are many examples of such imperfection. The eyes cannot see that which is very distant or very small. One cannot even see his own eyelid, which is the closest thing to his eye. And if one is disturbed by a disease like jaundice, he sees everything to be yellow. Similarly, the ears cannot hear distant sounds. Since the personality of Godhead and his plenary portions and self-realized devotees are all transcendentally situated, they cannot be misled by such deficiencies. Srila Prabhupada ki. Om Jnanatirmirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamaisham Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Utapadakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Saitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakanvitam Scha He Krishna Karuna Sindho Dina Bandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Rishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prastaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Prasadine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shrivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Just repeat the translation again. Mistakes, illusions, cheating and defective perception do not occur in the sayings of the authoritative sages. So dear devotees, I'd like to seek the blessings of all your wonderful Vaishnavas who have assembled here and all the seniors who can bless me, that so we can speak some nice words and learn collectively to increase our love for this wonderful text that is Chaitanya Charitamrita. So for those who are not too familiar with the life of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, I'd just like to give a very quick recap of the breakdown of his life in this age of Kali. Very, very quick. Basically, he manifested between the years of 1486 and 1534. So that means how many years did he actually stay here in this manifest stage in Kali Yuga? 48 years he was here doing various pastimes. So those 48 years are broken down like this. So 0 to 24, 0 to 24, he was in the household life, which is described in the Adi Leela, this book here. And in that household life, he did many activities, from his childhood pastimes, and then as a teacher, and then as a husband. And then from 24 to 48, he took sannyas. At a very young age, he took sannyas. So very quick succession from his brahmacharya, grahastha into sannyas. That's from 24 to 48. Now, that between the ages of 24 to 48, he broke that down further, or at least Keshav Swami in his book, Chaitanya Charitamrita Compact, breaks it down. Between 24 and 30, he did a lot of traveling and preaching, and that's described in Madhya Leela. Between 30 and 48, he went to Jagannath Puri, which is described in Antya Leela, and Jagannath Puri is that time in Antya Leela, 30 to 48 is split into two. 30 to 36, he was mainly associating with devotees, but then 36 to 48, he was having his Gambhira moments, his transcendental madness, it is said. Because when you chant the Hare Krishna Mahamantra, one of the symptoms that you should be having is madness. Yeah? So if you see somebody running down the hill on this fields here, chanting and then going wild, don't worry, it's just that they've gone mad with chanting of the Hare Krishna Mahamantra. Okay? Maybe, or they've genuinely gone mad from all the services that we have to do here. Or they're running away from all the services that we have to do here. Or they're going to run, is Namacharya Prabhu going to run after a calf which is gone right on the other side, so he wants to go and run and get the calf back. So it could be any one of those things that you would want to look out for. So after establishing the fact that Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the source of all the Purusha avatars, Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami is further establishing how these misunderstandings can occur in the minds of us humans. After all, we are humans, right? Humans are prone to make mistakes. They are prone to make things up. It's a natural thing. People make things up because their mind's perceptions, their impressions in the mind, remember the mind is part of the subtle body, not the gross material body made of earth, water, fire, ether, air. The subtle body includes mind, intelligence, and false ego or ego. And so in that mind, there are lots of impressions. Like in our Gita course yesterday, we were describing how the mind is like the browser of a computer, right? And in a computer of the browser, when you type something in, there is a whole long list of things up here. If you type in A, there'll be a whole list of things up here with A, isn't it, on the address bar? Like that, the mind has a tendency of coming up with lots of things. It just makes things up. And so naturally, the conclusion that Krishna avatar is Lord Narayan are actually suffering from the 4 key defects which are prevalent in human society, which is what is said in this actual purport today, isn't it? And the actual verse itself talks about these key defects. So then Srila Prabhupada clearly describes these 4 key human defects in the various areas of Srimad Bhagavatam, as well as in the introduction section of the Bhagavad Gita. As you know, in this verse, Etacham sakalapum sa krishnastu bhagwan sayam indrari vyakulam lokam mridyanti yuge yuge. This verse is from Canto 1, Chapter 3, entitled Krishna is the source of all incarnation. This is the Paribhasha Sutra of Srimad Bhagavatam, and Paribhasha Sutra means
The emperor, like a culmination of everything.
yes, the emperor verse. Second?
The headline.
The headline,
The
yes.
Headline.
The hitline.
Headline.
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 The head. Color. Head.
Red line.
What's the saying?
Red line?
It means like the main piece.
Okay, I didn't know it was called the red line. Wow, I've learned something new. Thank you. So it's like if you want to highlight something on your document, you highlight it with red. Red line, I guess. Okay, so it's the emperor verse, the red line verse, because this, just by understanding this one line, means you've understood the entire culmination of all Vedic knowledge. Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Done. Accepted? Right? Okay, let's go and have breakfast. Done, right? This is what basically it means, to have something that is so strong and you believe it. Internally you believe it, and you so believe it that you're willing to say, yes, I accept you, my dear Lord, I give up everything, material nature, samsara, the works, I'm yours. That's what should happen, but humans are defective. As it says in the purport of that special verse, speculative habit of the conditioned soul does not allow him to understand the transcendental subject matter of the Lord. Speculation, speculative habit. We have, all of us have the ability to, oh yeah, it must be like that. Oh yeah, it must be like that. Because our mind's bringing us all these different impressions back from not just this lifetime, not just this birth, many, many lifetimes, because the mind travels with us to our next destination in our reincarnation, right? And so our attempts are therefore most likely to be defeated and defective. Srila Prabhupada writes in the purport, the Lord reserves the right of not being exposed to such mental speculators. The mental speculator cannot understand that the smallest has the potency to become the greatest by the will of the Supreme Lord. So this is the thing, if we are simply mentally speculating, the chanting will not reveal to us the Bhagwan realization, let alone the Brahman realization, any realization. The chanting will not come in forefront of our minds and give us the goosebumps that we are expecting, or the tears, or any ecstatic symptoms. The chanting has to come when we are not mentally speculating on anything, when we are not guessing, oh, maybe this is Krishna. So the four defects that is humans, all humans, are guaranteed to make are described here as Brahm, which is committing mistakes. You get illusioned. No, committing mistakes, Brahm. And illusion is pramad, to be illusioned. Vipralipsa, to cheat others. And then karanapatava, to be restricted by imperfect senses. This is also described in this purport of the Paribhasa Sutra, the Emperor verse. And as humans are defected because of that, they are not capable of measuring the Lord's actions. That means any pastimes, that means anything that the Lord does, we don't understand actually. We might get a little bit sentimental. Oh, look, Krishna, he's the Makhan Chor. Ah, look, he stole butter from the houses of the gopis. Yeah, we just understand those words. He stole butter from the houses of the gopis. We make up, okay, stealing is like this, butter is that, gopis are those. But we don't actually know. We don't really know what is this act of stealing butter. Why does he do it? As if he doesn't have butter in his own house. As if Mother Yashoda doesn't get the best milk from the bestest cows, churns it and presents it to Krishna in a beautiful platter. Isn't it? And so therefore, it becomes difficult for us to even grasp the simplest of pastimes, because we have these four imperfections. There are two other instances in Srimad Bhagavatam where Srila Prabhupada also refers to these four defects, and that's Bhagavatam 2.936. Purport says that speculative philosophers and mystics attain only the mental platform by negating the material world. This is again talking about those who are only speculating, they're impersonalists, they want to have their own purpose of understanding the scriptures, and so they can control society. They cannot go further. Their intelligence and senses are all imperfect. They are always susceptible to four kinds of defects. They are sure to commit mistakes. They are invariably illusioned. They have the tendency to cheat others, and their senses are imperfect. Again, a direct list of those four defects. And then there's a couple of others, like, as I said, in the introduction section of the Srimad Bhagavatam, the four defects are again mentioned. In another area, 3.26.6 in purport, Srila Prabhupada again says imperfect senses, mistakes, illusions, and cheatings are the 4 defects of the conditioned souls. Conditioned soul is not competent to teach. So therefore, if we want to give the right education to society, we have to guard against these 4 defects. If you want to actually bring society up from the illusion, we have to make sure that we are not susceptible to these 4 defects. So therefore, we have got the parampara, the succession, disciplic succession, which takes an authoritative personality to understand from Vyasadeva, to understand the authoritative nature of the scriptures, and then pass it on to the next person who is also qualified. The qualified student has to be there before the spiritual master. He should be attentively, scrutinizingly studying and understanding the text. And that way they can then also pass this knowledge down through, without going through the imperfect senses, but through understanding it fully and applying it fully in their hearts. And then they can then pass it on to the next person. Just like Prabhupada understood it from His Divine Grace Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Goswami Maharaj. And he took it to the entire world. And Bhaktisiddhanta also understood it from Bhaktivinoda Thakur, etc. like that. So this parampara system is the best system. It is the perfect line of actually giving us the knowledge. And so that's how much of the class I prepared today, because I was a little bit of an urgent need. I was actually supposed to be on the altar, and Harini actually saved me. She said, okay, don't worry, I will swap, and then I can try and give this class. So that's how much I prepared. So what I suggest we do now, we churn the subject matter a little bit, and amongst ourselves, we understand what it is that we need to do to guard against these things. How can we actually make sure that we are also not illusioned in this way, so we don't actually start cheating others? Because what happens? This is what happens. We start making mistakes, and then invariably what happens? We will try to cover up those mistakes. Right? We try saying a lie, or, yeah, it wasn't me, I'm sure I didn't do it that way. And then we kind of like little white lies. And then we become, by saying these things over and over again in our mind, we become illusioned. And then we become completely like, okay, I've lost cause here. This is what happens. And so we have to guard against these things. If there's a truth that happens, it's best to just, okay, yeah, this is what I've done. It was my mistake. Sorry. It's just best to do that than try to cover it up. Science also actually says that humans are prone to make mistakes. They've themselves given a very nice, elaborate description of how we have limited visual and auditory range. Our senses cannot access full reality. All of these 5 senses that we have, and then the knowledge acquiring senses, are imperfect. The microscopes, telescopes, spectrometers, sensors, all of these things that are made by humans, because they are themselves defective, therefore they are also defective. So although we may say, yes, in reality we can see further away using a telescope, we can see really, really close inside the atoms and so on using a microscope, but even that is tinged with defective. Even that tinged with defect, because firstly we are seeing the object far away, we're seeing from one perspective, from down here to above. And that's one vision, sight of vision. Therefore, we can't conclude, well, yeah, that must be the object of my understanding. We're not seeing it from the other side. We're not seeing it from distant planets and so on. As far, we can travel, we can send a few astronauts on a rocket to go and have a look what it looks like from the other side. But again, it's very imperfect. So like that, there are so many things that many medical examples have been given, like hallucinations and perceptual distortions Under stress, drugs, or certain medical conditions, people may see, hear, and feel things that aren't actually there. So easily illusioned. And there are many, many scientific studies done like this. Cognitive biases and sensory interpretation errors. Even if sensory data is accurate, our brain introduces biases in processing the data. So this is another thing. This is the impressions I was talking about. Our brain has the way of, okay, because you like something else, I'd like to prepare this dish in this way. A little bit sweet, a little bit salty, like this. And so then you think, oh yeah, everybody must like this because I like it. And usually I've heard devotees even say, one person will say a comment and say, yeah, everybody is saying this. How many of you have come across that? Like in a group of devotees, when we're trying to do something, they'll say, oh yeah, everybody likes to do kirtan like this. It's just one person likes it, but everybody suddenly likes to do kirtan like this. You see, so generally people are like that. They want to make their own way of interpreting certain things. And that doesn't work when it comes to Krishna consciousness or when it comes to Vedic knowledge and philosophy. We have to only stick with the authoritative scriptures and only go by the remits and the border of those authoritative scriptures. Yes, we can see if we can get some realization through the heart, Divya Gyan Hriday Prakashito, that we sing every Guru Puja, but even that requires a lot of purity. Even that requires a lot of purification of the heart, so then that knowledge can permeate itself, right? The bubbles rising in an ocean comes to the top and boom, oh yeah, this is a realization. But until that happens, it becomes very difficult to manage like that. So yeah, anything else devotees would like to add? Maybe Madan Gopal Prabhu, Prabhuji, anyone?
I have a funny little story.
Yes, please.
About speculation from ISKCON. One Danish devotee was saying that the picture of his guru was speaking.
Okay.
And the picture was saying he has to marry this person.
Okay.
And he has to become the TP.
And he has to be a Tamil president. Okay.
So he was convinced. Then his guru came. And he said, no. No, I'm not saying this. But he was insisting, but your picture is telling me. So like that.
This is the thing, you see.
And if you have a guru who's standing in front of you, you cannot speculate.
Yeah.
He's telling you, do like this. But he was still speculating.
Wow. Even though in front of the guru, he was saying, no, your picture told me. No, but I'm the guru, I'm reality, it's me, look, I can pull my ears, I'm here, I'm speaking with you.
He was a little bit crazy.
Oh, because he must have had the madness of the chanting, that's why he gone crazy.
Yeah, you don't see any faults.
No, of course, we're just jesting. We're just having a joke, but yeah.
I think it's a funny story.
It is a funny story, indeed, yes. Yes, probably, you said something?
Yeah, few comments on the question.
Okay.
About this illusion, Prabhupada often he compares what we are seeing, what we're experiencing. He says it's exactly the same as in a dream. So in a dream we understand it's not real, or it's not real in the sense that it's temporary. But this is exactly the same. Even though we feel that it's real because we continue back to it, Prabhupada says it's exactly the same.
Okay.
Which is crazy.
Okay, so I think it's explained in the scriptures, especially Canto 3 discussions between Devahuti and Kapila Muni, whereby it says, in other areas also, that yes, this world, material world, is illusory, but it's not false. It is real. It's definitely real. It's been created in reality for our purposes. Because ultimately we wanted to come and play in this playground and lord it over the material nature. So Krishna said, okay, I'll give you quarter of my spiritual world, make it your material world, and you can play in it. All you guys who don't want to serve me and enjoy with me eternally, have a blissful life in spiritual world, you can come here and enjoy yourselves. But he's not satisfied. Krishna himself is not satisfied by that, so he comes with us as super soul in our hearts. So it's not illusory, it's real.
No, I'm not saying it's illusory, but I'm just saying the dream is just as real.
As real.
But we don't feel it's so real actually.
Yeah, sometimes it's like that, right? But actually sometimes the messages that we get through a dream can be accurate also. They can become reality. There are other ways of personalities talking to us to do certain things. Opposite to the story that Mogul Prabhupada shared, Prabhupada has had many dreams about his spiritual master telling him what to do. And so many devotees I know who had genuine dreams, who then they have gone ahead to do great things. Anything else? Devotees like to ask? Yes, you had a question.
So, about what we were speaking about, putting the subject after the, what was the name?
Object. So then so I'll read it out. It's basically saying that the object that you're looking to describe has to be before the definition of that object. Yeah. The object has to be known.
So it's saying that God is Krishna is incorrect. It is Krishna is God.
Yeah, he has to say Krishna is God. But the description of that, because Krishna and God are synonymous really, but the description of that personality has to come after the personality. You can't describe the person and say, oh yeah, that's this personality, if that makes sense.
Yeah, so for me it's interesting, it kind of describes how the Brihmas are seeing Krishna. Because if you say God is Krishna, then that is what's defining Krishna.
Right.
But Krishna is God, it's just like he has like a nice dhoti. Krishna has a nice dhoti. It's just another thing he has.
Yes. And so exactly, this is a very good point. So see, Brajavasis actually don't even see Krishna as God.
Yeah.
They're not even like accepting Krishna as God. Like his Gopa friends, when he's saying, you know, I'm the God. I was Ram in the last, and they go, yeah. Come on, Krishna, come on, let us get on your back because you lost. You know, but I'm God. You can't get on my back. No. We don't buy that. We're just going to get on back because you lost. You have to carry us back. So it's like this. They don't accept him as God. That is how it is. Even though the descriptions are there, and then he does all these wonderful things, and then they suddenly say, oh, maybe he is. Maybe he was given this special benediction by the demigods. Let's pray to the demigods. Let's pray to Narayan. Oh, like this, you know. So this is what they get on with. So Yogamaya naturally, puts them into illusion. Here we've got Mahamaya. We have got Kali as well. So we are even more illusioned like that. So we'd rather be illusioned in the spiritual world than be illusioned here. Like that. Yes, Vijay Prabhu?
I'm not sure if it's a relevant question, but was it purposely written like that so it would confuse some people or to make their faith deeper?
Very good point. Because it actually says in the Chaitanya Charitamrita in earlier verses that we said, that in certain areas it does say that, lists Krishna as amongst the avatars. Avatars, Narayan's avatars, so it lists Krishna. So naturally there is a confusion. So is Krishna the avatar of Narayan, Vishnu? Or is Krishna the Supreme Personality of Godhead? So that's why it's re-established again. That actually, this is how it is. Krishna himself decided to come to this world through the agency of Narayan. He himself decided to come. Just like somebody walking through the door, we won't say that that person has come, he's been come from the door. The door created that person. The person existed before the door. Just at the via medium of the door, he came through into the room. Similarly, Krishna existed before Vishnu. In fact, we know through the creations and many descriptions in the Bhagavatam that there is the Purusha avatars, the creation aspects and so on, and how these three main avatars are there.
I remember years ago I was really confused. I saw a family tree, I saw Krishna in the middle. I said, how is that possible? He's in the middle. But if he's God,
he can do many things, inconceivable things. He can be, existing before, he can exist after, he can exist in between, wherever, like that. Yes, Hare Krishna.
Thank you for your wonderful class.
Thank you,
I
Matt.
was wondering, regarding making mistakes, sometimes we do a service, we pray very hard, we pray for empowerment, we try to do our best, and we still, the result is not perfect.
Okay.
And is that because, how should we deal with that? Should we think that it's because I didn't try hard enough, I didn't pray hard enough, I wasn't surrendered enough, or is it just because, we're conditioned souls and we make mistakes, or is Krishna unhappy, or is he trying to teach me humility?
Okay. It's a very accurate question, actually, because this is how the mind works. The mind always allows us to sort of err on the negative, especially for ourselves. We are the biggest critique of our own self. Others will give us actually more of an accurate understanding of our performance, but we are our biggest critic. That's the first thing. The second thing is, yes, when we think that we are making mistakes, Krishna actually never sees the mistakes. He will always see what is the service that has been rendered to the person, or to Krishna by the person. Radharani often also says that, wow, look Krishna, your devotees come, and look how wonderfully they are serving you. Tulsi Maharani is the same. She will have lots of parrots, and then the point of the parrots is, to transfer messages, but also to glorify the glories of the devotees, to Tulsi Maharani, to all the gopis, to Radharani, and to ultimately to Krishna. So, no, I don't think we should beat ourselves up when we are not able to sort of, seemingly we think that we are not able to follow through or making mistakes. However, there is this element of pride that does come in. Sometimes we're leading the kirtan, we ask to lead the kirtan. Oh yes, I'm going to lead the kirtan, I'm going to be the best singer here, I'm going to show how it is done. And then halfway through, it's you forget the lines, you're illusioned. And this happens because that's just to show us, hey, be a little bit humble. After all, we are all here collectively, and the consciousness that we are in actually permeates through everything that we do. Consciousness of the pujari permeates through the seva that they do, but also how we behave against when we are looking at the deities. That consciousness comes through. Consciousness of the cook goes into the food, prasadam that is cooked. And so if somebody cooks in an angry mood or a sad mood, we will at some point invariably feel angry or sad. So our consciousness and our intention is far more important than the act of service. Ultimately, if we think we made mistakes, we have those aparad mantras that we say, mantra hinam kirya hinam bhakti hinam janardana, like that. And so that negates any mistakes. That's another point. The mercy is always there. Any service that we are given is mercy from the Lord, mercy from the devotees. So we just do our best, and that is the best way of actually progressing in our spiritual life. If we feel that we are not making progress, trust me that we are making progress. It's like Keshav Swami says, and others have said, you may have seen a bamboo tree grow. A bamboo tree goes inside the ground and it stays there. Nothing happens. 1 year you're watering, 2 years you're watering, 3, 4, 5 years. And then in the 5th, 6th years, whatever it is, boom, it shoots up. So it's building its foundation, its roots. It's building that foundation. And spiritual life is a little bit like that. A lot of patience and determination is required to build that foundation, and then we'll progress. And remember that there is no loss or diminution on this path, as it says in the Gita. Every little progress we are making, it actually stays with us into our next life. And that next life is going to be opulent also, because it gives us the opportunity to continue again. So it's a win-win situation. Right? Does that answer your question?
Yes.
Wonderful. Okay. Anything else?
If Krishna is happy, he also gives good results.
Yeah.
It's not that we don't get good results if Krishna is satisfied.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
He's in charge of giving the result, not us. But if he's actually satisfied, he will gradually have good results. Not just mental results, but tangible.
Tangible results.
I think that's another good point also.
Very good point. Yes.
Sometimes we think that when we cook, oh, it's just the consciousness, but if the food is tasting horrible, then maybe the consciousness is not so good.
Not so good.
So there's a connection between our consciousness and the physical world. Sometimes some devotees don't understand that. They think it's all mental. Not.
Definitely. Intentions, consciousness, they all play a part in the way we serve the Lord. And the result we get will be reciprocated in that way, based on our intention and consciousness. So yeah, we shouldn't hanker after the result.
We have, in Danish, we have a saying, sorry.
Carry on, no, carry on.
It says that, I think it's in English too.
Okay.
The road to hell is paved with good intentions.
Yes.
It's not enough.
Yes. The action has to be pure, the conscience has to be pure, and the intention has to be pure. Yeah. Okay. Granth Sahib Srimad Chaitanya Charitamrita ki, Srila Prabhupada ki, Jai Gaur Premanande.